Mario Kart Super Circuit on Game Boy Advance.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon might be the most popular spin-off series in the Pokemon franchise as a whole. I certainly love it, and I have always loved it since Kid Me excitedly came home from the store with Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team, along with the guidebook. I think everyone knows just how stuffed full of content the post-game is in this game, but a lesser explored area of side content, I think, is the Makuhita Dojo, so I wanted to take some time to really dive into its mechanics. Makuhita Dojo is located down the southern path of Pokemon Square, past the Gulp and Link Shop and Kangaskhan Storage. Initially, when you're given free reign of Pokemon Square at the beginning of the game, coming to the dojo, you'll see that Makuhita is nowhere to be found, and his dojo will be closed for construction. But once you defeat Skarmory and save Diglett on top of Mount Steel, and unlock friend areas from Wigglytuff, the construction is complete, and you can take on the first set of mazes. Each maze in the Makuhita Dojo is just a typical 3-floor mystery dungeon, which are divided up into types. The fire maze only has fire Pokemon, the grass maze only grass Pokemon, and so on, with the third floor being a boss encounter with just a handful of tougher Pokemon. When you first gain access to the dojo, you don't get every type available to you right away though, only starting with the grass, electric, fighting, flying, dark, and steel mazes. As you progress through the game, more mazes will be unlocked as you complete the larger story events. After the cutscene plays of Team Meanies committing a federal crime and stealing your mail, you'll have the second set of mazes, Water, Poison, Bug, and Rock. Once you return from your exile after defeating Articuno on Mount Freeze, you'll be given access to Normal, Fire, Ice, Ground, Psychic, and Dragon. And then finally, after defeating Rayquaza and watching the credits roll, you'll be able to take on the Ghost Maze, as well as some special mazes dedicated to rescue teams that you encounter through the story, which act as the bosses of the third floor of their respective maze. Those being Team Shiftry, consisting of 2 Nuzleaf and a Shiftry, Team Constrictor, with Tentacruel, Octillery, and Credilli, Team Hydro, a Feraligatr, Swampert, and Blastoise, and Team Rumble Rock, with 2 Graveler and a Golem. Additionally, in Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team on the DS, there's another maze called Rescue Team Maze. I'm recording this all on the GBA version, Red Rescue Team, via the GameCube's Game Boy player, so I don't have any footage of this, but essentially this Rescue Team maze leverages the dual slot capability of the DS, letting you fight a rescue team from Red Rescue Team as the third floor boss of this maze in Blue Rescue Team. So, for completing any of these mazes, there's a few different rewards that you can get that Makuhita will give you for participating in his dojo. Because the general idea is that this place is specifically for training, completing a type-themed maze won't give you anything, except for the EXP earned from KOing the Pokemon in the maze. Completing any of the team-specific mazes for the first time, though, will give the player a ginseng. That being said, when you select the info option when talking to Makuhita, he will mention a special reward, which is after you complete every typed-themed maze, you'll be given a ginseng, but you'll also be given a special Bonsly statue as a permanent decoration outside of your rescue team base. This is actually pretty significant, though, because this is one of Bonsly's first appearances. These games came out a full year before Diamond and Pearl. This wasn't his first appearance full stop, though. That was alongside Lucario and Munchlax in the Lucario and the Mystery of Mew movie, which came out in July. And it's also not his first video game appearance, which was in Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, which came out in August, but this is his first handheld appearance, which is kind of neat. Although the mazes are pretty standard, short mystery dungeons, there are some unique and interesting mechanics that I want to mention. You'd think that being a business meant to help out rescue teams would mean that Makuhita is friendly, but if you team wipe in one of the mazes, you will lose all of your money and a majority of your inventory, just like you would if you fainted in a real dungeon. Because of this, and because of how short the dungeons are, storing all of your items except maybe a few healing items is highly recommended. After you faint, or even after successfully clearing the maze, even though it doesn't send you back home to your bed, these will progress time, the same that they would in a real dungeon, for the purposes of refreshing the Kecleon shop inventory and the bulletin board quests. Traps, like you would find in normal dungeons, are also present in the dojo, but only during team-specific mazes. None of the type-specific mazes have traps. Monster houses and Kecleon shops are also not able to spawn in any of the mazes either. As far as recruitment goes, that actually partially works in mazes. None of the Pokemon or bosses in any of the type-themed mazes, and none of the Pokemon in any of the team-themed mazes can be recruited. However, you can recruit the bosses of the team-themed mazes, bizarrely. The recruitment chance for these Pokemon are pretty abysmal though, and in order to even have a small chance, your leader must be wearing a friend bow and be at least level 90, except in the case of Nuzleaf in the Team Shiftry Maze, or Graveler in the Team Rumble Rock Maze, which also require the friend bow, but you only need to be at least level 50. The Rescue Team Maze, only found in Blue Rescue Team, will also allow you to recruit the Pokemon from the Red Rescue Team cartridge, kinda acting like a pseudo Pal Park from the Gen 4 games. The recruitment rates of these Pokemon are just whatever their species rate normally is. Moving on, every maze follows the same floor modifiers for their first 2 floors. Floor 1 is always standard, with no modifiers, and floor 2 is always low visibility, with water, with the exception of rock and steel, which have no water, and fire, which has lava instead. All 3 of those still have low visibility on floor 2 though. Also, and probably the most useful mechanic, is that pickup works on the first 2 floors of every maze. The drop table is also fairly small and most of the same between every maze, which means we can abuse this to grind items. So every maze's pickup table will always have Oran Berries, Pecha Berries, Blast Seeds, Reviver Seeds, Warp Seeds, and Max Elixirs. Every maze on this first page, plus the Poison Maze, will additionally have Cherry Berries and Heal Seeds. And finally, every maze will have gummies in their pickup table, but only of the favored flavor for the type corresponding to that maze. So for example, the Dark Maze will only have black gummies, the Water Maze will only have blue gummies, and so on. In the case of the team mazes, however, this slot in the pickup table is just an apple. As a reminder of how pickup works in these games, every time you load into a new floor, including the initial floor of the dungeon, there's a chance that a Pokemon with pickup will generate and hold an item from that floor's pickup table, as long as it's not holding anything already. Which means for the Makuhita Dojo, you get 2 chances each maze to find something, and you can just quickly clear the mazes over and over again to grind for any of these items. I just wanted to talk about some other notes and things to keep in mind as you play through these mazes. The difficulty in these mazes is kind of all over the place. The first 2 floors are always exceptionally easy, but for some reason, the boss floors range from laughably easy to actually very scary. Like, for example, the Hitmonlee, who acts as a boss of the Fighting Maze, which is one of the first mazes you unlock. In the Fighting Maze, the first 2 floors are just level 6 Tyrogue and Meditite, and 2 of the bosses are also a level 6 Tyrogue and Meditite. But for some reason, this Hitmonlee is level 22 and has Focus Energy, which in this game means his next attack is a guaranteed crit, so he easily has a potential to sweep your whole team, which are usually around level 14 to 16 at this point in the game. Another offender is the Psychic Maze, which is just all Wobbuffet that have Safeguard, Counter, and Destiny Bond, and the ability Shadow Tag, all of which are extremely broken in Mystery Dungeon. As a reminder of how these things work, whenever you hit a Pokemon that has the Shadow Tag ability, it has a chance to have the attacker's movement speed, essentially meaning Wobbuffet can move twice for each of your moves. Counter in these games is actually a status condition, which, when a Pokemon with a counter status is hit by a physical move, including the standard A button attack, it will automatically deal the same damage received back to the attacker, which also doesn't take up that Pokemon's turn to deal that damage. Destiny Bond works sorta similar. As long as it's active, for 11 turns in this game, any damage you deal to the Pokemon is automatically also dealt to the Pokemon inflicted with Destiny Bond, even if the Pokemon inflicted is not the one doing the attacking. And then finally, Safeguard just means you can't do something like Para or Poison Stall them, or hit them with the extremely broken Whiffer status effect from Smokescreen, and all these things together just make for a huge mess, especially since you're usually dealing with 3 to 4 Wobbuffet at a time. And the last one that I'm going to mention is Team Hydro, which mostly just highlights how crazy powerful, bulky Pokemon are in this game in general. So, Team Hydro has a level 38 Blastoise, which obviously this dude is known for its defense and special defense, but a Thunderbolt for my level 30 Magneton is only doing 2 damage. 2! So if we plug this into a competitive damage calculator, we don't need to worry about EVs since they don't exist in this game, and these are Gen 3 spin-offs, so if this were Fire Red or something, I would be doing at least 50% of his HP. So it's ridiculous that I'm only doing 2 damage. But yeah, whatever. Just don't underestimate the random difficulty spikes that these mazes have sometimes. Also, not really a game mechanic or anything, but Makuhita is just kinda rude to you in general. As story beats play out in this game, the various shopkeepers will have extra dialogue for you, like when you're about to head out to confront Groudon, everyone wishes you luck, except Makuhita, who just doesn't seem to care at all. Or like when you return from exile, all the townsfolk are really apologetic for accusing you and not believing you, but Makuhita just doesn't say anything at all. You'd think this means that Makuhita is just exempt from all of the extra little stuff that the residents do during the story beats, but when you need to wake up early to exile yourself, you can check on him, and of course he's not missing the opportunity to sleep on the job. Like everyone else in town though, he does have some unique sleepy dialogue that can only be seen right now, so that's kind of interesting, I guess. So that just about covers everything in regards to the Makuhita Dojo in Red and Blue Rescue Team. I hope you found at least some of this or one thing in this video interesting or useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.